Most important aspect of legalizing marijuana in New Jersey is getting rid of drug dealers. Marijuana is still the cash cow of the illegal drug trade.
My friends, I know right now you're in a financial budget crisis, and I suspect that the reason this hearing is in the Budget Committee as opposed to the Public Health Committee where it ought to be is because what you're really after today is a quick financial fix. But as a former addict myself, I can tell you quick fixes don't work.
That right there, sound from Monday's hearing in Trenton, where lawmakers voted to advance a measure that would legalize recreational marijuana in New Jersey. Medicinal marijuana, it is already legal. Now that it's out of committee, it's up to the full House and Senate to actually approve a bill to put onto Governor Murphy's desk. Now that could happen as early as mid-December. My next guest, he has been closely following the story. Nicholas Pugliese is a State House Bureau reporter for the Bergen Record and NorthJersey.com. Nicholas, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it gets through the Senate budget and the Assembly appropriation committees. At this point, we'll get into the detail of it. Does it look more likely than not, in some form, this is going to happen and the governor's going to sign?
I think it's more likely than not that something along these lines is going to happen. It's a question of when, and presumably something like this is going to get through. But beyond the question marks over whether it has enough votes in the legislature to get through, Governor Murphy has stopped short of actually endorsing this despite campaigning on legalizing marijuana. So there's a ton of challenges left for this actually to become law.
In fact, State Senate Leader Sweeney says, I'm not even going to push this thing up until I get the green light from the governor. We're not going to basically go through the motions here. It seems like from Murphy's perspective that he wants to have more detail as it relates to who's doing the regulating and also how the taxing is going to work. Are those the two big sticking points?
Those are the two that we're hearing from Senate President Sweeney. He seems less reticent than Murphy has been to speak about what the backroom negotiations are. He said he and the governor's office had about 18 sticking points. They've resolved 16 of them. The two, as you said, outstanding are the tax rate. Governor Murphy has sought something around 25%, and the bill that passed through the committees only has a 12% tax rate, which is lower than most any other state in the country. Senator Sweeney says that's to wipe out the black market in the early stages of legalization, and Governor Murphy wants a higher rate. And the other one is the lawmakers, the Democrats in the legislature, are pushing a regulatory body similar to the Casino Control Commission. They say that's to try to wipe out corruption and have a more robust investigatory body, to be able to regulate this new industry. It seems like the Murphy administration wants to keep more of those responsibilities in-house with existing agencies.
We played the soundbite from Mr. Kennedy from Rhode Island, who I think, you know, whether you agree or disagree with the idea of legalizing marijuana, he did make an interesting observation. He was before the Budget Committee. This is about the money right now. It seems like the morality debate, for the most part, with notable exceptions, that's in the past. Now they're talking about just how much money this will be. Give an idea here, Nicholas. How much money could this mean for Trenton?
Well, projections I've seen range anywhere from $850 million to over $1 billion if you compare it to other similarly sized states. Senator Nicholas Scuteri highlighted that this could be a huge job creator for the state. So that's definitely on the forefront of some lawmakers' minds. I do want to add, though, that two other aspects of this deal to get the legalization portion through. One is an expansion of the medical marijuana program that New Jersey already has. And the second is a pretty sweeping overhaul of how New Jersey handles expungements. And that is a more progressive part of legalization in New Jersey compared to any other state that's done this. So that is part and parcel of getting the support among Democrats needed to pass this bill. So, you know, I don't think all those criminal justice aspects have been completely hashed out yet. And I think it's a little simplistic to say it's only about money at this point.
Well, let's talk about those expungements, because among the proposals are, hey, any pot arrests that you have in your record, they'll go away once this is legalized. But some want to take it even further. Give an idea, Nicholas, just how far-reaching potentially this would be relating to expungements.
Well, the legalization bill itself includes provisions I think are still being technically finalized. allow anyone with a low-level marijuana conviction to get it pretty much automatically expunged. Some groups, the ACLU of New Jersey has pointed out, well, what about the people that are currently serving prison sentences for low-level marijuana offenses? What's going to happen to them? The bill doesn't address that. And the supplemental bill, outside of the legalization legislation itself, would allow people with low-level drug or other offenses to have their entire record wiped clean after 10 years of a clean living, so to speak. So that's pretty far-reaching, and currently New Jersey has a pretty restrictive policy as regards to what people are allowed to get off their records.
Finally, you think we're going to get a vote on this before the end of the month?
If I were a betting man, I would not bet on that. The relationship between Governor Murphy and Senator Sweeney, and I mean, first of all, that relationship is not as strong as it could be, to say the least. So there's the personality side of this, and first and foremost, the Democratic leaders in the legislature have to get their own parties on board. As I said earlier, it's still not clear they're even going to be able to have the votes to pass this in their own houses.
All right. It will be interesting, though, following it. Nicholas, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And coming up next, we head to D.C. Republicans, as you know, they lose their House majority in January, and Democrats, they're already gearing up to take over. So the question is, what will they tackle first, and just how aggressively will they be when they go after both the Republican Party and, more specifically, President Trump? A Democratic Congresswoman, she'll join us next to answer those questions.